sports psychologists, our nutritionists, myself, our athletic trainer. And we plan each week out in these weekly meetings, and we start planning the future, okay? So the future is what happened last week that we didn't like, or what do we need to take care of this week? And everybody has their time in this meeting. And whatever needs to be said goes. There's no hurt feelings. I can tell the pitching coach, hey, listen, man, you didn't give me the weekly schedule, which you're about to see. You didn't give me the weekly schedule in time. I got pitchers coming in Monday morning, and I got the schedule Monday afternoon. That doesn't help me. So you have to be open and honest. Open and honest with what you're doing. And sometimes if your family, to me, because this is Utah baseball family, you can be honest and there's no hurt feelings, okay? Because that's what you're going to get out of getting the best out of everybody is, listen, man, that didn't work. We got to do something different. We got to do something better. We have to be better. And so what this performance team has allowed us to do is stay organized. And what you're going to see is something that Ernie Reimer, our director of sports science at the University of Utah, developed for me. He's an Excel whiz. I am not an Excel whiz. You're going to see the Excel document I came up with and the Excel document that he came up with. And you're going to see, there's a big difference here, okay? So, resources. I didn't know the population of the room. I didn't know if it was all college strength coaches or if it's going to be high school or all that. So if you're in a different setting, use your resources. I'm using Ernie Reimer as a resource to help my program be better with the Excel program that you're going to see. But in today's day and age, we have to stay on top of everything. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that are going into these programs. And including myself, I have to learn and get better at a lot of these things. I've been in the business for 17 years, okay? When I started out, I had to fight and claw my way in. And what I mean by that is I'm going to share a little personal story. What I mean by that is I started out for peer acceleration. I don't know if anybody's ever heard for peer acceleration. I worked at a private facility in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it now is Athletic Republic. And when I was working there, I was teaching sprint biomechanics, plyometrics, hitting, throwing mechanics, pitching mechanics, hitting mechanics, using some cords. But it wasn't until I got to work with some Nebraska football players that I realized, man, that's the population that I want to work with, okay? And so what I did was I called every university across the country trying to get my foot in the door. Because my weightlifting partner in college, he got his foot in the door. He was a GA under Boyd Epley. And so I said, man, listen, I've been working with some of your athletes. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy this. What do I have to do to be able to work with that population? And he's like, man, just get your foot in the door. You have to get your foot in the door. I said, well, I want to get my foot in the door at the University of Nebraska. He's like, no, man, we got 100 people trying to get the foot in the door, okay? He goes, just get out there. Just get your foot in the door. I said, okay. So I called and called and called, and for internships and for GA spots. And every time, a lot of the time, I would be told no because I didn't have any Division I weight room experience. I came from a Division III school. So I wasn't going to let that stop me. I applied for an internship at the University of Utah 17 years ago, and I've never left. And part of the reason why is I was persistent. Jason Velkamp was the guy that I interviewed with, and he said, when I got out there, he's like, you know why you really got this job? He goes, you called once a week to see what the status was on this internship. He said, you seem like you wanted it the most. Damn right I wanted it the most. So I come out there. I didn't care, like Heather said, she didn't care about the money. Neither did I. I get out there, and I find out it's $150 for every 2 weeks, this internship, working 40 hours a week. So I'm like, dang, this is going to be rough. I got to figure something out here. So what did I have to do? I personal train at 24 Hour Fitness at night. I worked at GNC on Saturdays and Sundays. And then I worked at the University of Utah as an intern Monday, 40 hours a week through Friday. So it's just something I wanted to share with you a little bit about perseverance. If you want it bad enough, go get it. Don't let anybody tell you no. So that's a little bit of background on me. The resources. Let me get back to the resources. So we utilize a lot of resources at the University of Utah, one of which is Director of Sports Science. Okay? And he's been a great, great addition to our program. Along these 17 years that I've been working there, I've had to change and grow and learn. And, you know, every step of the way, there's something I picked up from each one of the coaches that I worked with. Evan Simon, I learned conjugate training, okay? You know, Jason Velkamp, a first ever Excel sheet, okay? First ever Excel sheet. And so just keep at it, keep working. With these resources at certain levels, okay? Let's think about how, if I'm in a high school setting, how do I get the kids to buy into the nutrition part? Okay, maybe I don't have a nutritionist. Maybe I don't have a sports psychologist. So figure out how you can get some things that you want involved in your program and maximize any type of resource. Heather said free. Find something free. Okay, I got something free for you. Headspace. Headspace app. It's mental training. It's meditation. I use it. Our athletes use it. It's free. So it's part of the mental game, okay? So that's something free that we utilize along with it. So the nutritionists, we're fortunate. You know, they handle all that aspect. They're going to handle a recovery scorecard that we use with our guys. This recovery scorecard is everything involved: sleep, nutrition, alcohol, how many times they eat, and they fill it out and they send it to our nutrition staff, and it's based off on points. And so it allows us to be better. We didn't have, to give you an example, we didn't have that beforehand, and you can see when guys would start to fade and they're not taking care of it. Just like Drew mentioned yesterday about one of his guys that the program, maybe the program wasn't working for him, right? Well, I have one of those guys, okay? And he's like, Coach, I don't know if the program is working, okay? But yet, I got my other red shirt over here in the red shirt program. It's working very well for him, okay? Well, you have to dig in deeper. If it's about relationships, okay, you need to have a candid conversation with him one-on-one. You bring him into the office and you say, hey, man, what's going on? Tell me what's going on, and let's figure this thing out, because it's about you. You know, I want you to be successful. And the fact that you don't think the program is working for you right now is bothersome to me. So what do we have to do? But for me to help you, you have to tell me a little bit more about what's going on with you. Come to find out, he's losing weight because he wants that six-pack. He's dropping weight. Okay, he's not eating as much. He's eating 2 meals a day or something like that, 3 meals a day, and he's doing extra conditioning outside. I'm like, Dre, you got to change that, man. Like, we want to get stronger, you know what I mean? Let's try to work it out where we can both get what we want, okay? You want to get stronger, okay? You also want to get your six-pack, okay? Well, let's get with the nutrition staff, and let's put it together, all right? And so that's what we do. And that was a great source. Thankful for the nutrition staff to help me out. So utilize your resources, see what you can get, okay? Organization. This is Ernie Reimer's Excel design here. As you can see, this is our weightlifting card right here. And it covers a lot of different aspects. We can put our warm-up in there. We can put coach's notes in there. But what I want to show you guys is the detail. We have our data. I call it the mothership. This is called the Excel mothership. Okay. We have our data page. We have annual plans. We have our weekly drafters. We have our roster of our guys. We have our lifting card, our agility card, take home, our conditioning card, session builder. This is our session builder. So the session builder, I can write sessions here in the session builder. And in the session builder, I can store this in the modules. And in the modules is I can write anywhere from a 4-week progression to a 52-week progression if I want to. So I can store the program that I just wrote here in the modules, and then once it's everything, or I could write my sessions in the modules and transfer it to the strength builder here, which then I can transfer to the strength sessions. And so it's very complicated. I was not ready for it. My Excel knowledge is not that good, but it's a resource that I was willing to use to make my program better, even though I didn't quite understand it. And so I took him aside and I asked him, hey, can you teach me? Can you build this, I call it the mothership. Can you build this mothership and help me through it and let me learn it and apply it to my programs? And so that's what he's done. So that was a resource that I used that I really enjoyed. When it comes to strength programs for us, I don't want to be limited, okay? I don't want to be limited to, I'm a linear guy, I'm a conjugate guy. I'm a mixed bag, okay? I like to use everything. And what I mean by that is when the team comes to me in the end of August, school starts. We start off with linear training, but it's also a little bit auto-regulated for the newcomers. Because with the newcomers, we spend a lot of time teaching techniques and starting off with light weights and making sure that their techniques are solid until they can prove to me that they can do the technique that I'm looking for in a squat, in a bench, in any of our core lift exercises, that he's hitting the technique that I'm looking for. And once he has that technique down, we allow him to fly. Rome wasn't built in a day. So typically I have 4 years with these guys. Sometimes if we get a special talent, we'll have 3 years. But in 3 years, we can get a lot done. So the returners on strict linear program, and we do a linear program from August, we do it for 6 weeks. And after that 6 weeks, we go more to a conjugate program. And on that conjugate program, I'm using some things that Evan taught me. I'm using variation. I'm using max effort. I'm using dynamic effort. And the reason why I throw a conjugate in after the 6 weeks is I want to use the linear to build, to get ready for the conjugate program. So I want to build for that 6 weeks. I want to teach all my mechanics, the things I'm looking for. With the newcomers, they won't max until the end of that first 6 weeks. And when I found out, I got a story. I got a story to tell you. I got 2 freshmen that come in, right? Strong kids. They came from good high school programs, good strength programs. One of them is my best friend. He's the head baseball coach at Taylorsville High School. So I know the strength program he came from. And they both work really hard. Love them to pieces. They want to play. One has a shot to play, started as a true freshman. Works his rear end off, okay? The other one, he's on the border, okay? He's going to have to do a lot of things in the fall ball to show the coaches that he's able to play. Unfortunately, he didn't. He's on the redshirt program. The other kid did, and he's now our starting second baseman. That starting second baseman, that freshman that came in, has helped change. He works his tail off. He's teaching upperclassmen. He's outworking upperclassmen. To me, that's an established leader as a freshman because of his work ethic. I foster it. I tell him to keep going with it. I give him the tools. I give him the power to say, hey, man, you know what I mean? Show this upperclassman up here, okay? But one thing I had to fix with Oliver was his squat technique, because when he got to the program, from his high school program, he had a wide base like this, and he liked to squat, and his knees would come in here. So I had to fix that a little bit. And he got very upset with me. And the reason he got very upset with me, because after 6 weeks, his squat max went down. And the reason why is because I changed the mechanics of his technique, and he wasn't strong. He wasn't using his glutes to the full capacity with his squat. And so that's why with his technique, with his old technique, he would rely on his back and his quads. So I had to go backwards to go forwards. So with Oliver, by the end of the session, at the end of the 12 weeks, his squat max went back up and even better before. So it's just sometimes you got to take steps backwards to go forwards. And that's a case with Oliver that we took a step backwards to go above and beyond. So I'm not saying that that one particular system is better than the other, but what I want to touch on is something that's a little bit different. And what I have is an auto-regulated, individualized, what I like to call individualized program for all my guys. I gave you an example a little bit with Oliver there, okay? But what I mean by auto-regulated, we use it in season. And we're in season right now, and let me go back to this card. Okay, with the trap bar weights, you see the first set of 3 is a light stress, the second set of 3 is a medium stress, and the last set of 3 is a target stress or a high stress. With those guys, I give them, if they come and talk to me, and we work it out, because it has to be monitored. If they're not feeling it for that day, why am I going to try to ask them to hit a target set if they're sick, if they're run down, if they're tired? Why am I going to add to that stress and set him up for failure if he's not feeling his best and he can't hit his target set? So I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell him, okay, you're sick. Let's try to hit our light stress for this week. Okay, that may have thrown off my periodization because I had planned a target stress, high stress week for this weekend season. But because of the sickness, it kind of messed with my plans. But that's all right. It's all about the individual. It's all about the athlete. So I'm willing to take that away and have them do a light stress, okay, still get some work in, get the light stress work in, and then next week I know I have to build them back up again. So now I go backwards to go forwards. And so I'm going to go light stress, medium stress, target stress, or high stress, and then now his new target stress falls on this week. But because I got 40 guys, I have to manage that system. I have to say, okay, I'll use Oliver again because, bust his rear end. Love it. Oliver was feeling sick that day. He hit his light stress. I need to make a note of that. So I make a note of that, and then from there, okay, Oliver, this week you need to hit a medium stress week, okay? And then now we'll hit for our target stress week. So auto-regulated is what I'm using in season. It's different. It's new to me. But I did some research, looked into it, and it's a plan that I wanted to go with. And so far, so good with the stress. and with the results I'm getting with the athletes. So don't pigeonhole yourself into one particular style, just like everybody's been saying. Like, work your style, research it, know what you want to do, have a plan, and go with it, okay? Because there's no one way. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Nebraska. I told you that already. I have this expression called skinning cats. We don't actually skin cats, but there's a million ways you can do it, okay? You can skin cats, 100 different ways and still accomplish the same goal, all right? Well, it's the same thing with strength training, I believe, okay? That's just the way it is. But anyway, that's kind of what I do with our program. Moving on to the next thing. Okay, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. That's what I believe, okay? And I'm going to give you an opportunity where I'm going to put you through a workout. I got 2 volunteers, okay? I got 2 volunteers. We're going to put them through a Utah baseball session, okay? But there's some things that a bugaboo with the baseball community, what I feel, okay? And you shouldn't bench press. You shouldn't do this with the baseball. You shouldn't do shoulder press. You shouldn't do. Why? If you teach it correctly, and if you're looking for the certain mechanics, why can't you do those exercises? So I'm going to show you out there today how we teach it and what we do. And so it's my feelings. I'm going to stick with it until someone proves me wrong. But I'm going to tell you, in the years of experience, I was one of those guys. I didn't want to bench press the baseball players. I didn't want to do any shoulder press with the baseball players. And then what did I have to do? Someone opened my eyes, and I had to change my ways. And so I opened my eyes. I changed my ways. I didn't do it blindly. I looked at it. I found out why. I saw what they were doing. I researched what they're doing, and I come to a conclusion. So things that the bugaboo about baseball. You shouldn't bench press, okay? You shouldn't hang clean. And I'm going to show you how I individualize my program with the hang cleans. You shouldn't shoulder press, all right? Things that you shouldn't do, okay? Well, bench press, all right? Here's the technique. So what's the biggest problem with the baseball players in the bench press, right? We get tight. We get this, right? We get that, okay? And if we're bench pressing incorrectly, all right, we're going to work the shoulders. And what's that movement look like? Well, it looks like this. I'm going to show you right now, okay? When we're bench pressing, anybody see that? That little roll right there, okay? That happens. Happens in high school. Happens with the newcomers coming in. That roll and that little movement is now went from no longer working the pecs to working in your anterior deltoid, and you're going to feel it in your shoulder. So what we do is we teach, we coach. I'm a teacher. I like teaching, okay? I like coaching. So what we're going to do is we're going to start light. We're going to work at the bar with 95 pounds. Oliver's embarrassed to work with the bar with 95 pounds on a bench press. Sorry, Oliver. You'll get there. Rome wasn't built in a day. Just work with me here, okay? So when they prove to me that they can do the exercise techniques correctly, then I'll allow them to keep working the newcomers, I should say. I'll allow them to keep working the system and then adding more and more weight. But one bad thing about the bench press, if you're not there, you can mess up a shoulder. You got to be there. You have to be present. You have to be on top of it. And is it a risk? It can be. But I feel I like the benefits of it more so than just doing dumbbells all the time. So it's a variation. Here's a conjugate variation that I like to do. I like to board press with them. I like to do 2 boards. I like to do 3 boards. I like to do floor press with them, okay? but it's all about teaching it, making sure it happens correctly. If I'm seeing on a test target set or a high stress week and their technique is off, I'm backing the weight down. And they're like, Coach, how come you're taking the weight down? I said, well, if you fix this, I'll let you go back up. But you have to do it this way. You have to not let the elbows flare like this and let the shoulders roll and it all become a shoulder exercise. And next thing you know, I hurt my shoulder during the bench press. Okay? So if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to let you go back to your target stress, high stress week. Okay? But if you're not, if you can't make that change, then I'm backing it down. Okay? Because if I have a potential draft pick, kid that plays every day for us, and he gets hurt doing the bench press on a game day or something, or not on a game day, but a game week, I'm in trouble. I am getting chewed out. Now, the other aspect of this is, did I ruin his career? If you know what I mean? Because if that shoulder press and it's something bad that really could happen, or that bench press, I might ruin his career. Can you live with that? I can't. To me, it's all about the athletes. Sometimes you have to put even your program and your planning aside to do what's best for the athlete. That's how I view it. Everything is about the athlete. The relationships, their performance, are they getting what they need? And I'll always put the athlete first. That's just me. I'm going to show you a little bit how, again, I talk about auto-regulated and in-season programs. I told you that our pitching coach didn't give me the pitching weekly in time, right? I'm going to show you our pitching weekly and how I individualize the program for each. Okay, here's our pitchers list, all right? And as you can see, we have, I'm Webby, by the way. Coach Webby. That's what all my athletes call me. All my coaches call me. It's probably because my last name is Webster. But anyway, so Bowerly, he's got a live session on Wednesday, and he's got a live session on Sunday in St. George, okay? Here's where I'm going to tell you, you got to use your resources, all right? I need Bowerly at least to get 2 lifts in, okay? Well, we got 1 in Wednesday. We like to lift after we pitch. So we got 1 in Wednesday. Man, where am I going to get his second lift in at least? It's got to be down in St. George. But here's the troubling aspect. I don't travel with baseball, okay? So now what do I got to do? I got to get on the phone. I get on the phone, and I call people down in St. George. I'm like, hey, man, can I use your weight room? I got some guys. Their athletic trainer will help us out. You know, can I use your weight room to get in session? Okay, well, that doesn't work. I couldn't get the Dixie State weight room. So I'm calling all the fitness places around St. George and going, all right, can you help us out? I'm looking to get a lift-in session with some of my baseball pitchers. You know, what's the situation? What do we have to do to be able to use your facility? I found one and said, hey, you guys just come on in. Come on in, sign the release form. They had to pay a daily fee, and we were able to take care of it. And so I spent a lot of time, but I'm trying to maximize the resources of what's best for the athlete. What's best for the athlete is he's throwing live for 2 or 3 innings in St. George, and he needs lift afterwards. So he'll do his lift. But what you see also is it's an everyday thing for us. It's an everyday thing for us. Sometimes the arm care session, you're going to see our arm care sessions. We have 3 different arm care sessions. But we have arm care 1, 2, and 3. Each aspect is different, okay? Arm care 1 is more stability ball, range of motion stuff. Arm care 2 is neuromuscular and muscle activation, working some D cells. Also with arm care 2, and arm care 3 is just shoulder endurance work. So you can see that after the live session, bike conditioning at the hotel, he's got to get arm care 1 in, but he's maybe lifting at the hotel in St. George, or he's lifting at that fitness place that I saw. So I have to individualize Drackler's workout. For the pitchers, basically what comes about is I'm in the weight room every day for them during the week when they're not traveling. And when they are home, I'm calling Smith Ballpark, which is a AAA ballpark, and asking if I can use their weight room. As soon as they're done pitching, I take them into the weight room. We lift for 30 minutes, and we come back out and cheer on our teammates. So that's what our weekly looks like. Pitchers Weekly looks like. All right, I told you I had to learn some stuff, right? Okay, I'm going to give you an example what I felt like for baseball that I needed to learn. It was called PRI, okay? And PRI, when I went to this clinic, it was a baseball clinic at NC State. It was over my head. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they're talking left AC, all this, and I'm movement, and I'm like, all right, I went with our athletic trainer. Our athletic trainer picked up like that. I'm still working on it, okay? But there's one thing that I picked up. One thing, okay? And I'm going to show it to you when we go out there and demo stuff. It's the ribs and the breathing. So the thing that I learned the most at that PRI clinic was when you're doing your wall mobility drills, when you're doing your upper body mobility drills, okay? These ribs, they're flaring open like this. The back goes into hyperextension. It allows them to get a better range of motion. You're like, oh, we're good. Our range of motion, our mobility is good. You're flying through your stuff, okay? But they did it like this. Their ribs are flared open. Close that down. Get them to work on and focus on their breathing while they're doing their upper body mobility. Close these ribs down. Draw that belly button up and in. And now you're going to see the upper body mobility change. It's not so good. So we're going to kind of show that out there with the upper body mobility stuff that we're doing. And that's the one thing I learned. And I apply it to everything. I apply it to the upper body mobility drills. I apply it to our back exercises. I apply it to our shoulder exercises. I apply it to our pull-ups and our chin-ups. I want to challenge you guys to go do a pull-up chin-up, okay? And you're like, I can do 20 of them, okay? Well, all right, that's great. But let's have you do it now with your ribs down, your belly button drawn in a controlled manner, all the way down, all the way up. Hold that position, that postural position, and then now let's see how many you get, okay? I did it with the athletes when I got back from PRI, and our numbers went, and then we had to build back up, remember? Because sometimes you got to go backwards before you go forwards. So our numbers went down. The athletes freak out, but I do not. I have to be the calm and influence. I have to tell them, listen, I just learned this, okay? And if you work with me on this, okay, this is what's going to happen. In the long run, we're going to get stronger. Our back's going to get stronger. Our scaps are going to get stronger. Our mobility is going to be better. But you have to work with me on this and be okay with your numbers going down on a chin-up or a pull-up. With your numbers going down on a lat pull-down. So something new that I've learned and I've taken with me. Anybody have any questions so far? No? You all ready to go do some action?